So I did not record this during the worship service. It's the same message, but wanted to do it just a little different. So I don't know about you, but when I moved into the house in Cincinnati, there was a flower bed, and I didn't like it. So I decided, in my brilliance, I was going to take it out. Now, I had a little brick wall that went around it about a foot high. That wasn't so bad, and getting a lot of the dirt shifted, that wasn't so bad. But there was this one bush, and it had a root that, I swear to you, it must have gone down 6 feet. And so I dug at it, and I dug at it, and I dug at it, and I get pieces, and then finally I got a hatchet. Now, you can tell a city girl because she gets happy about having a hatchet, but I have this hatchet. And I took that hatchet to that root, and I was hacking away, and I was really doing well. And the neighbor guy, who didn't know me yet, came over being all nice and polite with his manly sized chainsaw and was going to help me out. And I just looked at him and said, "Don't you touch it. Don't you dare." And I took one last hard swing, and that root gave. It just split. And I was thrilled. It's like, I got it. I had mastered it. I wrestled with that bush for ages, and I was bound and determined, and nobody was going to help me because I knew I needed to do this. It was a bush that needed to go, but I was also working out a lot of frustration, so I was wrestling with things. I pulled that baby out. It was good. Now, if you've got, I have grandchildren. I have 3 boys, and when 3 boys, they wrestle. Wrestling is not something, as I've been thinking about this, it's not something where you're out to hurt somebody. It's not boxing or fighting, or it's not, it's not street fighting. There are no weapons involved. This is full body, full life contact. And I got to tell you, when Micah, who's the 4-year-old, gets into this, he is determined. He is going to take his brothers down. He's not intending to hurt them, but he is going to be superior. Anyway, these are my thoughts as I lead into the passage from today, which comes from Genesis chapter 32, verses 22 and following. Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 maids, and his 11 children, and crossed the ford with them. He took them and sent them across the stream. Likewise, he sent everything he had. Jacob was alone, but a man wrestled with Jacob until daybreak. So this is at night. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he struck him on the hip, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled. Knocked his hip out. Jacob said, "Let me go, for it's almost daybreak." No, that's what the man said. Excuse me. Jacob replied, "I will not let you go until you bless me." So he said to him, "What is your name?" And Jacob answered, "Jacob." And the man responded, "You shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with humans and have prevailed." Jacob asked him, "Tell me your name." The response was, "Why is it you ask my name?" And he blessed him. So Jacob called the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and yet my life was preserved. The sun rose upon him, and as he passed, limping because of his hip. Jacob wrestled with God. It's a famous passage. He's in the middle of, finding peace with his brother. He's stolen his brother's birthright. And now he's making peace. And this is what happens. He wrestles with God. He sends his family away, so he's alone. Nobody to stop him, nobody to interfere, he sends all of his stuff away. So there's nothing. It's just Jacob by himself at night, wrestling with God. He wrestles full body. There's no intent on, a punishment. There's just an intent on mastering, conquering, getting there. Jacob is wrestling. The response is they wrestle pretty evenly. all night. And then God puts his hip out, which to me strikes a moment of you will never walk the same. Your journey will be different. For the rest of your life, you'll have a little bit of pain, but you will never walk the same way. You'll never walk the same journey. Clearly, your life has changed. You have wrestled and it has changed you. The blessing is you will be the father of a great nation, your 11 children. We know from reading further on that it's not going to be an easy blessing. We've still got that Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat stories coming, and we got some pretty good complications with his kids. But he will be blessed. There will be a different path than the path he was on. I have a tendency at night, 3 o'clock in the morning is one of those times where those things that bother me, those struggles, they'll show their face. And I have to wrestle with things. I shared this morning when my son-in-law was so ill a few years ago, I really wrestled with all of that. I wanted him to live, but I did not want someone else to have to die for him to live. And I still wrestle with those questions. Where, what, how, who. We wrestle with things. It may be questions of faith. We all wrestle. It may be something simple. Maybe you're wrestling with, I don't want to fix dinner. I got to fix dinner, back and forth. But a lot of times it's those big things. Maybe someone has died in your life and you wrestle with, I am so incredibly grateful for their life. I am incredibly grateful that they are free from a body that just couldn't go on. But at the same time, I miss them. I want that one last cup of coffee or that one last phone call or that piece of advice that I forgot to write it down, that recipe. I wrestle with that. I'm happy for you, but I miss you. I'm thrilled for you, but man, I miss you. I wrestle with that. Maybe you're wrestling with doctors or children of all ages. I know my mom probably still wrestles with, am I okay? Are my daughters, she probably wrestles with a lot of things. But we all wrestle with life. It's not with an intent to hurt, but they usually change us. When we wrestle, we grow. See, that's the reality. And that's for Jacob, he changed. He wasn't the same person he was before he wrestled. He's someone else. That wrestling changed him, not just his hip, but his whole life. When we wrestle with things, when we wrestle with life and death and church and the world or whatever it may be. I know I've wrestled a lot with Church Universal lately and how to interpret and wrestle with scripture. It changes us. To wrestle does not leave us who we were, but is the blessing of taking us somewhere else. Quite often people will avoid the wrestle. They'll be stoic. Wrestling is a good thing. It's healthy to grow and to become better, to know God's blessings. Even wrestling with God. I had a friend once who was really struggling and she was so angry. And I said, God can handle it. God of all can take our anger and help us to grow through it. God it's not awful. It's not bad to wrestle in these things. Even if we're questioning God, we're growing. It's healthy. And I think Jacob gives us that reminder that sometimes things are hard and we have to wrestle them out. And sometimes we wrestle that with God. Full body, full heart, full spirit, full on contact, wanting, getting to the other side and realizing we're blessed. That the wrestle itself blessed us, changed us, offers us blessings, makes us better. Whatever you're wrestling with, and maybe it's something little, maybe it's something big, know God's presence. Even if you're wrestling with God, know the blessing of God's presence, that you're always loved, and forgiven, and we live in grace. And that wrestle that you're dealing with, have dealt with, or will deal with, will take you to being a better person if you recognize God's presence in the wrestle. May you know God's love. May you be wrapped in God's hands. If you're wrestling really hard with something in life, may you know God's fingertips guiding and shaping and leading. We may not get the answers that we think we want, but we will get the blessings that we need. So may you know God's voice. May you hear God's presence. May you be blessed in your wrestle. And may whatever come, difficult or glorious or full of joy, always with the recognition that we are in God's hands. Know God's peace.